Hello, Joe Brady here again. And today what I want to talk about is the healing sound for the stomach and for digestion, for the spleen in Chinese terms. And the Chinese noticed over many centuries that when someone's got an upset stomach, when they have a lot of pain in their stomach, they'll naturally kind of hold their stomach area and make a sound. And so that became the healing sound for the stomach and for digestion. And it actually works really well if somebody has any nausea or an upset stomach or any abdominal pain. I've actually used this a lot with patients that are on chemotherapy. And the oncologists that I've worked with, they love it because it does help to keep people from doing the throwing up, the vomiting thing when they're on chemo, and the upset stomach and the loss of appetite. And the oncologists hate that when that happens, because if the patient starts wasting away and they can't eat and they can't hold anything down, they start wasting away, and then eventually the oncologist has to quit what they're doing because they're making the patient suffer more than they're fixing anything. And they hate that. And so the healing sound for the stomach actually works quite well for relieving nausea and relieving the abdominal pain and increasing the appetite. And so the whoo sound, like a hoot owl, W-H-O, and to continue, we'll do that drawing in the rainbow exercise. And so practice that first. Breathe in, bring the palms up. And again, take about 5 seconds or so to completely fill the lungs. Then relax completely. Take that extra sip. As you exhale, turn the palms over. Use the whoo sound. So you purse your lips. When you get the tone just right, you should feel your lips vibrate. That also gets you to do that pursed lips breathing that the respiratory therapists love. Again, you make a small opening, helps get you the air out forcefully so that you can get more carbon dioxide out, and on the next breath, get more oxygen in. Interesting for me when I got sick last year was to learn from the respiratory therapist. I've been doing breathing exercises for many years with Chinese medicine. But one thing that was different was that the respiratory therapists were much more concerned with the exhale than they were with the inhale. I had always before that been concerned more with the inhale, thinking you get more oxygen in, you'll have more oxygen. But turns out that unless you get the carbon dioxide out of your blood, there's nowhere for the oxygen to go. And so more important is to get the carbon dioxide out and create space in the hemoglobin for the oxygen to be absorbed and get transmitted around the body. And so to really emphasize the exhale, that's why respiratory therapists emphasize that so much. And so here, breathe in as you bring the palms up. And relax completely. Take that extra sip. Turn the palms over. Purse your lips and do a whoo sound. And again, at the bottom of the breath here, relax completely again. Let that last little bit of air out. Take the next breath. And relax completely. Take that extra sip. Relax completely. Let that last little bit out. Then if someone actually does have an upset stomach, again, somebody going through chemo, for example, that's real sick from the chemo, another Qigong exercise you can layer on top of that is to take and between the middle of your sternum and your belly button, halfway between the two, there's a point called Zhongguan. It means midpoint. It's the midpoint between your belly button and the bottom of your sternum. And what you do is hold your hands over that spot, and you don't have to press in, especially if somebody's like feeling nauseous or something. Don't really press in. More just hold your palms there as if to soothe the point, and you make little circles as you make that whoo sound. So if I take and breathe in and then use the who sound, ooh, and just use the palms to gently soothe Zhongguan, Ren 12. And that really helps to get the stomach to settle down. Little ginger ale wouldn't hurt either. One of the Chinese herbs for nausea is ginger. And again, when I'm working with oncologists, they usually are loath to do any kind of Chinese herbs like you see in the cabinets behind me. But ginger, they know. Ginger, they like. Of all the different herbs that have been scientifically tested, ginger has had by far the best results. And so with COVID going around, one of the first herbal formulas, if somebody thinks they're being sick with COVID or regular common cold, is ginger, honey, and lemon tea. And again, even with as nervous as doctors are about prescribing anything that hasn't been randomly controlled trialed with COVID, they're happy with the ginger because they have experience with that. And there's a lot of doctors that already recommend it as a cold buster. Obviously, it doesn't do a darn thing to cure the COVID, but it does help to get things to settle down a little bit. And hopefully all those little things help to keep a person out of the hospital. Again, I've treated 16 patients up to now with herbs, and knock on wood, didn't cure anybody with it, but knock on wood, have so far been able to help keep everybody out of the hospital. Anyway, that's an aside. Let's go back and practice the healing sound for the stomach. And the emotion that goes with it is, can you worry yourself sick? Well, yeah, you can. The negative emotion for digestion is worry. And right now with COVID and everything else going on, worry is a real problem in the world. Everybody's worried about everything: politics, money, finances, everything. The whoo sound helps to transform those feelings of worry and anxiety into their opposite, which in the Chinese way of thinking, the opposite emotion is a feeling of openness. Can you be open to whatever's going to happen is going to happen? Now, this doesn't work if you haven't done your stuff. If you're worried you can't pay the public service bill and you just leave it there in the background and don't do anything about it, the worry's not going to go away. But if you take some action, like call the public service company and make them a deal, I'll pay you over the next few months and we'll add a little extra and whatever I can't pay this month, they'll usually make you a deal. At that point, you can use the whoo sound to help disperse that feeling of worry and get to a point where you can be open to, I did all I can, and now whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Same thing goes when you're worried about going in and taking your spirometry test. You do the best you can, you do your breathing exercises, you lose a couple of pounds here and there, and then once you've controlled what you got control over, from there, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Whatever the number is, the number is. I always notice that the more I worry about what that number is going to be, the worse the number is. So here, practice a couple times. Breathe in, face palms up. Again, relax completely, take that extra sip. As you exhale, first turn the palms over. Bring the palms down. I have to remember to make the sound loud enough you can hear what I'm doing. In China, when people are practicing Tai Chi, they would make the sound just loud enough to where they can hear it, but somebody standing right next to them could not. I'm making it a little bit louder now so you can hear what I'm doing. So breathe in as you bring the arms up. Relax completely, take that extra sip. The whoo sound. Relax completely, let that last a little bit out. In the Chinese medicine, what they found was the same thing they find in respiratory therapy. Breathing exercises quickly evaporate into people not doing them. Compliance is a real difficult issue. Let's face it, just focusing on your breathing is boring. The Chinese found by adding these other elements in, like the healing sounds and the emotions and meditations and movements, it makes it just that little bit more interesting for the mind and makes it just that little bit more likely that people will continue doing the exercises over time. You may get to a point where your breathing feels better and you forget the need to do the breathing exercises, but you're always going to find situations in life where you're worried about something. And so now you got to practice your breathing exercises to deal with the emotion as well. Anyway, that's enough for today. Thanks very much. Practice as much as you can in between, and I'll see you next time. Thank you.